how's everyone doing tonight? Alright, tonight we are continuing our playthrough of the Unlimited Bladeworks route. Hopefully we'll finish the Unlimited Bladeworks route by the end of the night. So, anyway, last we left off, Shirou, Saber, and Reen had a strategy meeting where they and currently the plan is Saber goes in to destroy the Grail, and Shirou fights Gilgamesh solo. But how's it? And to aid him in that, Reen gave Shirou her magic crest to create a mana pathway for him, so that maybe he can have enough mana to generate the Unlimited Bladeworks reality marker. So let's see how that goes. February 15th. Unlimited Bladeworks. 16. Eden. I turn off the lights in the house. It's 4 in the morning. We leave the Emiya residence with a few hours left until dawn. We have our plan. There's nothing else to discuss. Now we just need to go to the battlefield and carry out each of our responsibilities. There's no guarantee we'll come back safely. Well, until now it's been a recurring event, but this time there is no guarantee we'll return. So I need to make sure to turn off all the lights in my house. Huh? Someone's standing in the garden. A blonde girl gazes up at the night sky, doing nothing in particular. Hey, what are you up to, Saber?
空を見ていました。それと、この家を。
She answers me in a very gentle voice. When we first met, she looked at this house with a different expression.
いろいろありましたから、ずっと覚えていられるように、心に焼き付けておきたかった。
Voice. It reflects a determination that she might never come back, even greater than mine. Yeah? Well, remember it as long as you can. I make a humble request of her from the windowed hallway.
はい。では私からもお願いします。あなたたちは私が守る。ですから必ず二人でこの家に戻ってください。
Yeah, we will. That's the only answer I can give now. We're going to destroy the Holy Grail. When that happens, Saber will leave too because she's a servant. I'd like her to stay here, and she's even developed an attachment to her home. But that's a rule she can't break as long as she's a servant.
ちょっと、そこ何してんのよ。時間がないんだから急ぎなさいよね。
A voice beckons us from the front door. Tosaka seems to have finished preparations and is already at the gate.
では、シロ。
Yeah, time to finish this, Saber. I turn off the last light and leave the house with Saber. Oh, and I guess Reen's there too. The night is quiet. In the garden, under the starry sky, the illusion of a girl gazing up at the stars still remains. Our direction is set. Saber's going to breach Ryudo Temple from the front gate, while Tosaka and I will infiltrate from the back of the mountain. We plan to have Saber enter the temple slightly sooner than us to draw Gilgamesh's attention. We'll use the opening to sneak into Ryudo Temple from the back, stop the Holy Grail as soon as possible, and then back up Saber. Then I'll counter Gilgamesh's Noble Phantasm with my projection, so Saber can close in and finish him off. That's our only strategy right now. There's a barely intact path in the hills behind the temple. Tosaka scales the slope as surely as if she'd scoped out the area beforehand. At night, the mountains are dark and sinister. The mountain is an inviolable and spiritual ground, so it naturally repels us. While the dark mountain itself is dangerous to human hikers, it also embodies a sacred realm with high spiritual purity. However,
尋常じゃないわね、これ。生臭すぎて吐き気がする。
Tosaka gagged, squinting at Ryudo Temple at the summit. Fishy is just her figure of speech. There isn't actually a fishy smell coming from the mountain. It just feels bizarre. The air feels uncomfortably lukewarm, and it sticks to my skin. The life energy in the air feels so raw I can't tell if I'm breathing or the mountain's breathing. I even hallucinate that we're hiking up a giant intestine, not a mountain.
今更だけど、シロ、体の調子はどう？
Suddenly, Tosaka asked me how I was. Huh? Well, not good or bad. Honestly, I have so much that I don't know what to do with all this. I tell her my honest feelings. With this much magical energy, 10 or 20 projections would be a piece of cake. But you could compare it to putting a jet engine on a whole worn-out plane. I feel like I can't relax, as if I'll spring a fuel leak and explode if I lose focus.
うわ、贅沢な悩みね、それ。けど、ちゃんと成功してよかった。初めてだったから心配だったのよ。
There are other... Given the context of how this was originally released, there may be other implications for that statement. Word? Don't tell me that was actually a really risky ritual.
家庭じゃなくてその後の話よ。シローに分ける魔力とセイバーに取られてる魔力のバランス。2人分の掛け持ちなんだから、セイバーの出力が落ちてるのはわかるでしょ？
Ah, right, that's true. Then Saber can't fight the way she wants?
あのね、甘く見ないで。そんな不手際はしないし、セイバーに比べたらシローに分ける魔力は小さいからなんとかやっていけるわ。ただ無理は効かないの。今のセイバーは1回しか聖剣を使えない。
She can only use it once? Then she can't use it on Gilgamesh. We need Saber's Noble Phantasm to destroy the Holy Grail. Then Saber's going to stop Gilgamesh without her trump card?
ええ。だから少しでも早く合流しないとまずいわ。
Hang on, I'll be back in a minute.
セイバーがギルガメッシュを止められないと判断した場合、聖剣を使うようには言ってある。けど、そうしたらセイバーに後はないの。セイバーの聖剣でなければ聖杯は壊せない。だからその時は。
He holds his breath. When that happens... Wait, who's the he? Is the he me? She's prepared to use the sacred sword, knowing that she'll disappear afterward. Tosaka, you mean...
仕方ないでしょ。これはセイバーが言い出したことなんだから。私が止めたって彼女は聖杯を壊すわよ。
Tosaka doesn't look at me as she murmurs. Dang it! What a fool she is! This is just as hard on Tosaka. She doesn't want Saber to disappear either. Then... Let's hurry. I won't let Gilgamesh have Saber.
当然よ。私のセイバーだもの。あんな奴に殺させないわ。
We run up a game trail. I know what we need to do. We'll stop the Holy Grail as fast as we can, then go settle things with Gilgamesh. Interlude 16-1 Unlimited Blade Works. A lot of interludes in this route. The mountain is rumbling. Dark clouds shroud the sky, and the trees seem to tremble nervously due to the tremors. Saber watches it all from the mountain gate. She sensed it as soon as she felt the noxious, indescribable aura oozing from Ryudo Temple. The Golden Servant isn't the only one awaiting her at the top of these stairs. Something aberrant lies in wait for her and her allies. She can't make any mistakes up ahead. If the summit is going to be the place where they die, then she will be the one to face the threat of death. She hopes the other two can survive this ominous realm. For their sakes, she can't afford to hold back. She can fire her sacred sword twice. She's well aware that she will disappear the instant she uses it the second time.
構わない。もとより捨て身でなくてはかなわぬ相手だ。
Gilgamesh, the king of heroes. The only way to defeat the man with 1,000 noble phantasms is with a decisive strike from his sacred sword.
じゃあセイバー、30分経ったら始めて。
She recalls Reen's words. There is 1 minute left until the appointed time. Saber breathes in deeply and considers her condition. A breeze blows from the summit. She begins up the stone steps once the ill wind begins to shake the trees. She dashes up the steps with a single breath. As soon as she stepped foot on the stairs, the enemy would have realized her assault. The last servant she needs to defeat should appear within the temple grounds. She needs to get there as fast as she can to defeat Gilgamesh before Reen and Shirou arrive. She isn't defying her master's orders. She began her assault after 30 minutes, just as Reen commanded. Even if she enters the temple grounds earlier than expected and engages Gilgamesh, that isn't a violation of her orders. She's just deviated from her master's projections in the course of protecting her master's life. While the air from the summit is putrid, she is like a gust of cleansing wind that cuts at the rod as she ascends the steps. It will take her less than a minute to reach the temple. That should put her about 5 minutes ahead of Reen's projections. It will give her plenty of time to end the battle with Gilgamesh. She runs, enduring the ominous chill from the mountain gate. Like a silver speeding bullet, she races toward the summit. Just as she comes up to the gate, she didn't mean to stop, but she comes to a sudden halt. Sweat coats her forehead. Saber gazes up at the mountain gate in astonishment.
待っていたぞ。よくぞ間に合ってくれた、セイバ
ー。That ain't Gilgamesh. A smooth voice cuts through the night. Moonlight glints off the 5-foot-long sword. An enemy that shouldn't be here stands at the top of the steps.
Assassin.
Her voice lacks its usual grace. She's faced with an enemy, an obstacle that shouldn't be here. That fact robs her of her composure.
どうしたセイバー。私がいるのがそれほど不思議か。私はここの門番だとお前は承知しているはずなのだが。
His voice is delighted, yet cool. The swordsman seems completely unchanged, his back to the ill wind from the summit.
バカな。なぜここにいるアサシン。あなたはキャスターが呼び出したサーバントだ。キャスターが消えた今、あなたがとどまっているはずがない。
通常のサーバントならばそうであろう。だが、私はちと特殊でな。この身をお前たちがマスターと呼ぶよりしろ。私にとっては、それがこの三門ということになる。
土地がよりしろだと。
うん。いかに魔術師といえど、実体を持たぬサーバントにサーバントは維持できぬ。サーバントのよりしろは、この女狐は私を呼び出し、よりしろにこの土地を選んだ。故に、私はこの三門にのみ出現するサーバント。召喚者であるキャスターが滅びたところで、この三門がある限り、消えることはない。もっとも、それも日雇いに過ぎんがな。女狐が私に与えた魔力はおよそ20日分。その限度がいつか、お前ならば 見て取れよ。
The swordsman explains in a sing-song voice and lifts his right arm. In his elegant garment, his pale arm is transparent like glass.
アサシン、あなたは。
見ての通り、夜明けまで持たぬ身だ。20日の刻限などとうに過ぎている。ここまで持ちこたえたことこそ行幸と言えよ。
She looks at the swordsman in shock. His aura emits neither bloodlust nor hostility. It simply demands combat. He desires a pointless duel to the death, irrespective of victory or loss.
では、私と戦うために残ったというのですか、アサシン。
言わせるな、セイバー。口にすればつまらぬ言葉になり下がる。
Assassin chuckles. Saber can understand the swordsman's reasons, but she doesn't have time for this. Unless she hurries, her allies will arrive while she's fighting Gilgamesh. No, in the worst case, they might arrive first and be forced to engage him without her.
そこをどけ、アサシン。あなたに門番を命じたキャスターは消えた。もはや門を守る意味などあるまい。
Saber takes a step forward. However,
いいな。もとより私に戦う意味などない。
he declares that the duel will begin if she proceeds any further. The tip of his long katana is pointed at Saber.
そう戦う意味などない。私には初めから何もないからな。いや、そもそも私が呼び出されたこと自体が間違いなのだ。
What?
何しろこの身は佐々木。
Saber is extremely confused. Sasaki Kojiro. That should be this servant's true name, but Assassin has just admitted that he's an imposter. Could one even say that he's a pretender?
そう驚くことでもあるまい。佐々木小次郎というものはな、もともと正体のない架空の剣士なのだ。実在したとされるが、記された記録はあまりに不鮮明。ある剣豪の敵役として都合が良い過去を捏造された。人々の記録だけで剣豪とされた人物だ。
And what a beautiful sword master she is.
確かに佐々木小次郎という男はいただろう。物干し竿と呼ばれる長刀を持つ武芸者もいたはずだ。だがそれらは一個人のものではない。
So would that also qualify you for the alter ego class?
佐々木小次郎という剣士は引き立て役としてのみ作られた架空の
英霊ですが、あなたは。
そう佐々木小次郎だ。佐々木小次郎というからそれを被るに最も適した剣士が私という。私に名などない。読み書きなど知らぬし、名前を持つほど余裕のある人間ではなかった。私はただ記録にある佐々木小次郎の秘剣を披露できるという一点で呼び出された。偽りのサーバントであるこの身は長くは持たぬ。故にキャスターも使い捨てとして扱った。そら意味など初めからないだろう。たとえここで偉業を成したところで報酬は全て佐々木小次郎に与えられる。私には何も返ってこない。無である私にとってあらゆることは無意味だ。
You'll always be the legend of France to us, Kojiro.
この身は自分すら定かではない。佐々木小次郎という役柄を演じるだけの名のない使い捨ての剣士に過ぎぬ。
The long sword sways. The swordsman created as a fictional character stands in Saber's way, prepared to fulfill his role.
だがその私にも唯一意味があるとすれば、それを無名のまま死んでいった私にもし望みがあったとしたら。
Then surely the nameless swordsman would have dreamed of facing a superior swordsman, something he was never allowed to witness in life.
アサシン。
She takes up her sword. There is no persuading this foe. The only response to a swordsman ready to lay down his life is to meet him with steel.
では始めよう。なに、元より花と散る好み。その最後、そなたで迎えられるのであらば、これ以上の幕はあるまい。
His long sword sweeps through the air. Saber's sword carries the moonlit blade. The katana suddenly changes direction. If she uses her strength against this man, she won't be strong enough to face Gilgamesh at the summit. But she also can't afford to hold back against Assassin. No, can't she win even if she goes all out against him? The katana's attacks grow sharper with each swing. A fictional swordsman, a master of the sword with no noble phantasms, who could fight on equal ground with heroic spirits. She must settle this duel with him now. Interlude out. The summit is close. We'll arrive at the back of the temple grounds once we climb this hill. There should be a large pond there, untouched by humans.
見えた。あともう少し。
Tosaka climbs the slope, pushing the branches aside. I watch her back, keeping an eye on our surroundings. And then, just as the slope levels out onto flat ground, we come face to face with it. What is that? It's a squirmish hunk of flesh. The thing enshrined in the center of the pond seems to writhe and beg for help as it spews rotting black liquid around it. How big is that thing? The flesh hunk is slowly getting bigger. It looks like a floating island. The pond water looks muddy and sticky, as if there's an oil spill. No way. That's the Holy Grail? I avert my gaze, feeling uncomfortable. We've been breathing in that thing's exhaust as we went through the forest. It endlessly spews out magical energy, polluting the pond. Its blood isn't colorless magical energy at all. That dark stuff is a visible curse. Even looking at the black mud gives me chills. The curse breaches my retinas. It hammers a single cold command into my brain. Die, 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 die. No one said anything about this. How are we supposed to stop it? The flesh hunk is about 30 meters away. The pond is shallow, so walking through the water shouldn't pose a problem. But pushing our way through the black mud would be suicide. It's a curse that erodes the mind just by looking at it. If we go into it, we'll be weakened and drowned before we even walk a meter.
あれ、破裂寸前よ。元からああいう形なのかどうかは知らないけど、器があんまりにも小さすぎたんでしょうね。中のものを抑えきれず、器を壊して溢れ出ようとしてる。
It'll break the vessel? Then...
神事が聖杯になってるなら、神事を壊すってことでしょうね。ほら、見える？あの山の奥、なんか人型らしきものがあるでしょ。シローなら確認できると思うんだけど。
Huh? I followed Tosaka's line of sight. Within the rotting and growing flesh hunk, I do see something that looks vaguely human. Is he getting crucified? Torn clothes and a naked body. Ugly muscles ripple under the skin, connecting the body to the flesh hunk. It's like the shape is different. It's a bizarre image, like a bunch of grapes shaped into a human form. It's Shinji. I can't see his face, but that definitely looks like him.
そうで生きてる
I don't know. I wish I could confirm he was dead, but no, I can't. He isn't. Oh man! He isn't dead, but I don't know if I can call that alive. His body's still breathing at least. I can't say that I see anything like human limbs.
やっぱりねもともと今回の聖杯は人型だったなら人間っていう部品を利用して動かすってことでしょ神事は合わないからああなったみたいだけど基本的に聖杯は宿主に生きていてもらわないと作動しない
But it's about to explode. You said it's going to break Shinji. Who's the core?
それは仕方なくよそうなったら聖杯も何もないただ聖杯によって開けられた穴からあの得体の知れないものが溢れてくるだけだから逆に言えばまだ間に合うわ聖杯は起動しているけど願望機っていう本来の姿になってなければ壊れてもいないあの金ピカは穴だけを開けるって言ってたでしょあいつの目的は聖杯を起動させて器だけ壊すことなのよそうすれば
Then that mud will pour out infinitely on a whole different level. There's no time to consider it. We'll pull Shinji out of the flesh hunk and stop the Holy Grail. Tosaka, can you do anything about that mud? It looks like we could walk on it if we freeze it.
無理ただの水ならいけるけどあれはもう呪いに加工された魔力なのよ形になった魔術を凍らせるなんてそんなの氷結専門の術者でも難しいわ
Oh, then we'll just have to pray for good luck. The only option is to cross the pond before the curse corrupts us and extract Shinji.
そのままで行く気無理よあなたじゃいいとこ真ん中で飲み込まれるってば
I won't know that until I try, and there's no more time. Saber should be fighting right now. We can't afford to hesitate. I whirl around and move to protect Tosaka.
これは驚いた。まさか三度もその不出来な顔を見るとはな。雑種。
Gilgamesh sneers at us. He appears by the pond instead of the temple, as if he predicted our move.
ギルガメッシュ嘘なら誰と戦ってるのよセイバーは
Tosaka's words indicate that Saber's engaged with some other enemy at the moment. I don't know who that might be or how she ended up fighting them. There's no time to consider that right now. We're facing the worst person possible. This is the strongest servant whom we were supposed to take down as a trio. And now he's here, looking at us without Saber.
何？セーバーは不在か。つまらん。それではただ殺すだけか。
A terrible chill oozes from the sea of mud while bloodlust radiates from the man in front of us. Noble Phantasms hang ready and wait behind him. One wrong move and he'll skewer us.
いや、それでは芸がないな。本来なら有無を言わせぬが、今回は特別に許す。せっかくの客だ。そのせいにわずかばかりの猶予をやろう。
An extension? My fingers tense up as I glare at the enemy. The magic circuits are open. I've lined up 14 blueprints, as many as I can manage. If he snaps his fingers, I'll replicate as many swords as I can. That should at least let Tosaka get away.
なんだ、言われなくてはわからんのか。眉が帰るまでの数分、そこでかかしになるがいい。あれも見届ける者が俺だけでは寂しかろう。この行く末を最後まで見届けるというのなら、そのせいにも意味がある。
How can I listen to that? Our objective is to stop the Holy Grail. If there's still time, then we need to rescue Shinji from that flesh hunk. Yeah, sorry, but we...
あんたの言いなりになんてならない今すぐあの日会に行ってあんたの聖杯を止めてやるわ
Before I can finish, Tosaka takes the initiative and stares down Gilgamesh. His lips twist into a smile. That laugh sounds like when someone desires to kill the person in front of them. Wait, Tosaka, that's...
シロはここであいつを止めて、無茶だって分かってるけどセイバーが来るまでなんとか持ちこたえて、信者は私が責任を持って引っ張り出してくるから。
What do you mean pull him out?
分かってるわよ。あんなんでもさくらの兄貴だし見殺しにはできないもの。それに助けられるのなら助けるのがシロの心情でしょ。
Tosaka starts to run toward the dark lake. Is she going to go in that mud as is? As if the big hunk of flesh in the background wasn't nightmare fuel enough. That face!
なんだその滑稽さは。俺を笑い死にさせるつもりか、貴様ら。
That guy. He laughs condescendingly at Tosaka's determination. What's so funny?
なんだ。お前はおかしくないのか、雑種。とんだ三流どもだ。あの呪いの中を進むだと。サーバントですら耐えられぬ呪いの渦を人間風情が踏破できるとでも思ったか。
私の底を甘く見ないで。この程度の呪いで染まるほど弱くないわ。それにね、私たちはあんたみたいに反霊体ってわけじゃない。ちゃんと生身のある人間なんだから、むざむざ飲み込まれてたまるもんか。
She's obviously bluffing, but Tosaka might actually be able to get across if she says so. Like she said, Green Tosaka isn't so weak as to lose to a curse like that.
そうか。ならば好きにしろ。もっとも俺はそんな真似は許さんがな。
Trace? A sword shoots forward. The sword flies toward Tosaka's defenseless back to skewer. Off! But it's instantly deflected by my concho when I step in. I breathe heavily. I made it. Although I had prepared myself, this was the first time I had been able to project so quickly. It must be thanks to Tosaka's magical energy. At this rate, we might be able to...
貴様。
Murderous rage fills his red eyes. My projection triggers him to get serious. The Noble Phantasms behind his back increase in number.
シロ。
Behind me, I hear Tosaka's concerned voice. I don't look back, and I keep my eyes on the enemy with my concho at the ready. Tosaka, go get Shinji. That's all I say to him.
任せて。すぐに連れ帰ってくる。
I hear the sound of splashing water. Tosaka jumps into the sea of mud without hesitation. Then I'm going to protect her. I won't allow a single Noble Phantasm to reach Tosaka. You need to deal with me. If you want to get to Tosaka, you'll have to beat me first. I take a step forward. This must have ticked him off. The Golden Servant takes his eyes away from Tosaka and focuses on me.
あの小娘はのたれ死ぬ。俺が手を下すのはあくまで慈悲だったのだが。
A swarm of Noble Phantasms point toward me. He ignites his murderous intent like a sharp blade.
その前に貴様には思い知らせる必要があるようだ。薄汚い贋作者。その身をもって真偽の違いを知るがいい。
He deploys his own treasures without reserve. The longsword slashes the dark. Oh, okay. We're shifting POVs now. The longsword slashes the darkness. Assassin freely reels a near 2-meter-long sword, and Saber is still unable to step within range. She can't avoid it and falls back. The distance between the two sides does not shrink. There's 1 meter between Saber and Assassin, but that distance is enough to prevent Saber from even running up a few stone steps. She bites her lip. She doesn't have time for these skirmishes. Her opponent is typically someone she can best in strength. She can overpower him if she uses the full might of her magical energy in her sword. Just 1 blow. If she can just withstand that 1 blow, she'll easily be able to hold him down. It can be an arm or a leg. If she doesn't show she's sustained a few scratches, there won't be another attack. The moment she receives the blow, she's confident she can step into Assassin's range and cut her enemy in 2. And yet, if that first blow manages to get to her neck, there would be no way she can overpower her. That's the kind of blow that the servant in front of her can execute. There's no restraint, and there's always blows that are meant to take one's life. The only possible way to prevent that is to retreat. She is at a positional disadvantage since she can't turn and attack in time, and the enemy's skills prevent her from moving forward. Thus, she can't step forward. She needs to reach the temple compound alive. As she stands there, Shirou and Rena are going up against Gilgamesh. If she's late, one of them might die. Or worse, 2 of them are already... She runs. She yells as if to dispel the ominous imagery that pops up in her mind and rushes up the stairs. 2 trajectories collide. Seeing her rush up with abandon, Assassin swings a sword not at Saber's body, but at the sword swinging down toward her.
ほう、さすがはセイバーの剣。数回程度ならば耐えられると思ったが、一撃で曲がるとは。
Sparks fly. They try to push each other out of the way as the sword and katana clash.
受けた。アサシンが私の剣を。
Assassin's katana is fragile. While the katana may be able to cut iron in 2, it is still made by humans. It cannot compete against her sword, which was forged and created by non-humans. Apparently fairies, as we learned in Lost Belt 6. If struck from the front with force alone, the long katana would surely be shattered. Knowing this, Assassin made Saber retreat by parrying the sword and going for her body instead. Assassin blocked her attack. No matter how well trained and how tenacious Assassin is, his katana would not be able to fully defend against Saber's blow. The longsword that caught Saber's blow is now bent at its core. At this rate, he can no longer maintain his sharp advantage.
勝てる。無傷でこの男に勝てるのか。
She asks herself as she pushes back Assassin's long katana. Her hesitation creates an opening. There is a reason Assassin blocked her sword. Before she realizes that reason, she is standing in a particular position. She is standing at a different position. The 2 who were once standing at the top and bottom of the stairs are now level with each other. Without realizing it, Saber's body shifted to the side and she was forced to stand on a flat footing. This is a repeat of last time. They are standing level with each other. A suitable footing to wield the secret sword. Here, Assassin is able to execute his magical blade. Swallow reversal. The 3 arching blades encircle the enemy, and the target has no chance of defending or evading. It ensures that the enemy is killed. A chill. She shudders from the chill running down her neck.
Assassin, 貴様.
Saber's strength leaves her. She can push back right now. As she is superior in strength, she can knock down Assassin and finish him off as she runs up to him. Or she could just run up toward the temple gate. But the outcome was going to be the same either way. If she disengages, that thing is going to come. Even if she knocks him away, whether she rushes in for the final blow or exposes her back to run up the stairs, that magical blade will be released and it will be over for her. which means she can't push forward. She can only let herself ease up and match Assassin's stare.
良いのか、力を弱めて。これならば私の方からお前を弾き飛ばせるが。
Assassin looks at the cornered Saber with satisfaction. There is nothing callous in his mannerism. The swordsman with the long katana is simply admiring the determined look of his opponent, who is seeking to recover from a hopeless situation.
このために自らの武器を傷つけたのか、アサシン。
無論、拉致が開かぬのでな。勝負をつけに来た。これならば以前のお前に戻ろうと思ってな。果たし合いの最中に後のことなど考えるな。
She holds her breath. Assassin's words tell her that he sees right through her, yet it does not sound insulting. The compound is in flames. The sounds of swords clashing and breaking. There's no doubt it's the sound of Gilgamesh and Shirou fighting.
どうやら縁も竹縄というところだな。こんなところで門前払いを受けている場合ではないぞ、セイバー。
アサシン。
Saber grips her sword tightly. She puts magical energy into her sword in an attempt to repel the obstacle in front of her. But she can't. This very moment is her end. If she breaks the distance between herself and Assassin, she would be walking into Assassin's scheme. She grits her teeth in frustration. She wields her sword that is infused with magical energy, but she is unable to do anything. There.
何を迷う。お互いやるべきことは一つだろ
う。The swordsman says it clearly.
アサシン。
もとより我らは役割を果たすためだけに呼び出された。私がこの門を守るようにお前にも守るものがある。ならば迷う隙などあるまい。それにな、セイバー。時間がないのはお前に限った話ではない。
There is no pretense in his voice. This is the first and last time the fictional swordsman speaks the truth of his heart. Because Assassin is a bro. His wish is to have a fight to the death. That is the swordsman's wish. His reward for getting summoned to this age and guarding the gate this entire time.
失礼をした。確かに、お互い時間はない。
She releases the magical energy in her sword. The unrestrained power that gets released blows back Assassin. He goes back about 2 meters. Saber does not move, even though she is within Assassin's best range. She neither runs through the temple gate nor toward Assassin. She unleashes her seal. Her sword is revealed, and Saber confronts Assassin. There is no hesitation in her eyes. She will use her entire strength if need be. Her eyes declare that she will use all her strength to defeat the enemy in front of her. No words will be exchanged from now on. The imaginary swordsman slowly readies his long katana.
いざ。
He readies his strongest sword technique against the greatest enemy of his life. She walks through the sea of rotten flesh. The lake is not even a meter deep, but the sticky mass of flesh is accumulated at the bottom, so she only sinks in knee deep.
こんな気持ち悪いにも程があるってのよ。
She grumbles under her labored breath. Every step she takes gives her chills, like she's stepping on a mass number of bugs. The rotting flesh that clings to her skin is unmistakably rotting flesh, and if she stops, it will harden around her. Okay, so it's... She shakes them off with all her might and keeps going. Slosh, squish, crush. There's no way someone can stay sane from wading through this content. After all this, slaughtering a cow should be a piece of cake. Tosaka thinks defiantly. That's how she's getting used to this. She's under so much pressure that she has to think of this as work, or else she wouldn't be able to move. But at least she won't sustain mental damage this way. But she can't endure this just with willpower alone. With each step forward, her body heat rises. The rotting flesh immediately invades her nerves the moment it touches her leg. Even if she tries to push them away, the poison has already assaulted her body. They're curses. The malice is tangible, and it's like it sees. One would fall ill if they touch it. It invades the nerves, robs the body of its strength, and boils the brain. Every step taken is a step closer to fatality. A normal person would stop moving after 2 steps and fall into the pool of flesh. It's unknown what would happen afterwards. She doesn't want to think about it. She doesn't want to think about if one suffocates or assimilates to become a part of the flesh mound. She can't even think straight, given that she now has a fever over 40 degrees. Her feet and body threaten to fall over, but she pushes on, desperate to move forward. Green doesn't jump into the pool of flesh without a plan. She has swallowed her 2 remaining precious jewels, and she's using all the magical energy she saved up to create a defensive film over herself. If this curse really is a crystallization of pure magical energy, then she should be able to repel it by shrouding herself with strong magical energy. Her vision blurs. Her assessment was correct, but it was way beyond the scope she imagined. The jewels she swallowed to put up defenses were no better than sheets of paper covering her. No human could go up against this corruption. There is nobody who could avoid getting engulfed in here. Here, her own strength was her only support system to survive.
もうこれなら火の上に飛び込んだ方が涼しいのに。
And actually, if she did jump into a sea of fire, it wouldn't affect her since she is protected by her gems. The moment she starts complaining, she gets angry at herself for even mentioning it and regains her vigor. That's not true. Even if it's not true, she can't crack a joke like that when dealing with something like this. In her feverish state, she listens to the clash of swords behind her. She can't see the 2 anymore. Did Shirou lead the battle away, or was he driven into a corner? Either way, the battle between those 2 seemed to have moved to the temple grounds.
あと少し一気に行くからそれまで。
She runs. She's barely fast enough to walk, but she moves her feet anyway. She pushes through the decaying flesh. She breathes heavily as she reaches for the lumps of flesh. She moves with crawling. She feels the mounds of flesh.
なんかこっちのが楽みたい。
She lets her body lean into the pulsating ground. This is much more disgusting, but the fever that invaded her nerves cools off rapidly.
ちょっとこれもしかして。
She puts her finger on the red ground. It's the same as the black mud, but it has form. It's something that came out from the Holy Grail and took form using magical energy, an incarnation that should not exist in this world.
サーバント。これサーバントと同じなんだ。
She murmurs in amazement. She tries to make sense of it, but stops. Now is not the time. There's only one thing she needs to do.
よし、回復した。さっさとシンジを見つけて、こんなところとはおさらばよ。
She gets up and runs up the mound of flesh. The mound of flesh is a floating island about 50 meters in diameter. She couldn't see it in its entirety from the bank of the lake, but the surface is folded over multiple times like a mountain range.
いた。
After the very depths, Shinji Mato is there, hidden among the flesh. I repel the incoming swords. There are more than 10 Noble Phantasms deployed, and all of them shoot straight toward me like arrows. Ugh! I throw away the swords that turn to dust and ready for the next attack. In a single gulp of air, my labored breathing goes back to normal. If my breathing is labored, I can't do projection. Without a weapon, my body will get skewered. This isn't a battle against that guy. It's a battle against myself. The moment my projection speed and accuracy go down, that's when I'll disappear.
はっ、そうだ、休んでいる暇はないぞ。
I respond to his voice, and a straight sword I've never seen before points toward me. It makes a loading sound and shoots toward me with lethal speed. Trace. I'm unable to deflect the full impact, and I fall to the ground on my back. I quickly roll to the side and stand up to regain my stance.
どうした？質が落ちているぞ。わずか一撃で壊れるようでは複製とは言えんな。
A scornful laugh. He's obviously enjoying this. If he releases all the Noble Phantasms behind his back at once, there's no way I can defend myself. But he's only shooting them off one by one, holding back to test my limits. But I'm lucky that's happening right now. Despite Tosaka backing me up, it's difficult for me to project after only seeing the opponent's weapons. I can only replicate its appearance. I can't construct its inner abilities, which is why they get destroyed after a single hit. Like that guy said... That guy said I'm the only one who can beat him. But this is all I can do. I can only defend myself from his Noble Phantasm, and I can't rush in to attack him. Dude, I need at least 2 weapons. But I'm having trouble with just one, so how the heck am I supposed to project 2 at the same time?
どうした？歯ごたえがあるのは口先だけか、フェイカー。
He must like seeing me rolling around as he looks entertained. Ah! I catch my breath. Things are fine as long as he's enjoying this. As long as he's acting that way, there's still a chance for me to win. Trace on! I direct my mind to look inside him. There's only a few circuits. There, I mentally line up all the blueprints I can imagine. I visualize 17 Noble Phantasms. I analyze its internal structure based on their outward appearance, and I draw the concept of creation to choose its compositional material. I cough up blood. I'm paying the price for putting multiple blueprints inside a circuit that usually handles only 1 or 2. Since I started using projection, my nerves have become damaged, and my body has started to crumble from the inside. Blood pools in my stomach, and my esophagus is working like a pump to expel the blood out from my body. Possession experience, sympathy complete. I swallow those down and continue with my process. Kancho and Baka, you can't block his Noble Phantasm. If only I had archer swordsmanship, I could probably defend myself with twin swords, but I don't have that kind of skill. There's only one way for my inferior swordsmanship to prevent those Noble Phantasms. I just have to offset using the same exact Noble Phantasm he deploys. I still have enough magical energy. Tosaka's supply has been more than enough. But my circuits moving that energy are on the verge of corrosion. My end is near. The moment that guy gets serious, I'll have to project the same amount of Noble Phantasm he deploys, or else I won't survive. But at the same time, my body will definitely be destroyed if I project that much. Process complete. All projections stand by. I save the images flowing in my mind. The swords that try to go outside will actualize as I imagine them and pierce me from within. If my burned out circuits can't control it, the swords inside me will shoot out, and I will literally be a pincushion.
ほう、今度は多いな。10、15、17。そうか。目に見える我の宝具をすべて複製したわけか。
What?
なめるな。魔術師の手の内など看破できなくて何が英霊か。 お前に働く魔術の数などそれこそ手に取るようにわかる。
This line catches me off guard. Is the King of Heroes, who possesses thousands of treasures, trying to say that he can perceive our magecraft just by looking at us?
では採点だ。もっともいかに成功であろうと一本たりとも世には残さんが。
You reacted too late. I was distracted by his words and it created a fatal delay on my part. 17 Noble Phantasms are shot out. A portion of the king's treasure rained out like an avalanche, telling me that the king is done playing around. Release freeze. Release all projections. My body waves. The swords that shoot out from within me collide with the ones shooting toward me. The impact shakes everything around. Can't pop them all. Even though I project 17 Noble Phantasms, I can only get 4 to them one at a time. Even if they're consecutive, I can only deploy one at a time. On the other hand, my opponent is able to shoot them all at once. Having no match from the get-go.
ガラス細工にしてはよく持つが、それもあと数撃か。そうは急いで真似ねば八つ咲きだぞ。
I hear him calling over the flashing sword. 12 more enemy Noble Phantasms.
こと愚行よな。俺には勝ち得ないと考え、聖杯だけでも取り外す判断が正しい。お前では我にはかなうべきもない。
What's that? I can't hear over the sound of the battle. My fingertips are burning. The magical energy I emitted and the heat from the colliding Noble Phantasms mercilessly burned my fingertips. 7 more Noble Phantasms. In that case,
それならばあの男を殺してしまえばよかった。聖杯を止めたいのであれば人事を始末することこそが確実だ。魔術師であるお前たちならばあの泥を越えずとも殺しようはあったろう。だというのにまだ救おうというその偽善、まさに雑種の具現よな。
Going to break. My circuits are going to burn out completely. It's not enough. I'm no match against this man with my measly circuit. Hey, why? Why can't I block them? That guy said I could win, but this isn't even a contest right now. So does that mean am I making some sort of mistake? Noble Phantasms won. I don't know if my body can hold out until I'm unblockable. What it needs to be thinking about right now is what the difference is between my blades and Archer's blades. Huh? In that moment, all of my senses freeze up. I don't even look at the remaining 3 Noble Phantasms. I'm focused on the golden servant pulling out a sword. A strange sword. My mind goes blank the moment I see what looks to be a stone pillar.
女を救うと言ったな、小僧。
His taunting voice echoes with the roar of the sword. I eliminate the 3 remaining blueprints in my circuit and rapidly try to read his sword. And yet, I can't get a reading on it. Until now, I've been able to read every sword, but I can't read the construction of that sword.
ならば見せてみろ。その贋作で一体何が救えるのかを。
The wind creates a fault line. The slashing winds released from Gilgamesh's sword push away his own Noble Phantasms and head toward me. My mind is still blank. I can't come up with any countermeasures, so I just release the remaining magical energy within me.
いざ。
The swordsman holds up a sword, an unknown imaginary stance for an unknown imaginary man. He readies his fatal technique that cuts his enemy by simultaneously executing blows from different angles. She's experienced that attack before. The previous one only attacked in a circular motion at a vertical axis. That was why she was able to avoid it and manage to survive. But the true technique is said to have 3 trajectories: a circular and a vertical slash, and probably a horizontal slash that cuts anyone who tries to escape sideways. If all 3 of those were to be released simultaneously, there is no escape. Once in range, the other 2 attacks will hit even if one is blocked. Escaping sideways is impossible, and the long katana will be able to make contact if the target tries to retreat back. Magical Sword, Swallow Reversal. A divine technique that surpasses even the power of servants. This is the ultimate technique of an unknown swordsman that This is the ultimate technique an unknown swordsman put his entire existence in perfecting. The long katana wavers. He steps in to reduce the distance between the opponents. A distance close enough to cut down Saber. From a distance that does not allow any defense, a constricting trajectory is unleashed. Saber is not going to use her sacred sword. To begin with, she can't use her Noble Phantasm from the distance the 2 are at. No matter how fast Saber's sacred sword may be, Assassin's Swallow Reversal is much faster. Her head will surely fly while she tries to put magical energy in the sword. Thus, the only thing she can rely on is her sword skills. The blade's arc begins to move. Even though this is her second time seeing it, its precision and speed are astonishing. How much training did he do to be able to execute an attack like that? At that moment, Saber could only shudder. That attack cannot be blocked. This magical sword is man's attempt at challenging the gods of Fuwa. Nobody but a god would be able to prevent or parry the attack. She holds her breath. In the back of her mind, there is a faint spark as small as a grain of sand. She doesn't think of what that is, or if it's the right thing to do, but she risks everything on that one instinctual inspiration. She charges forward towards that victory with all she has. What did the fictional swordsmaster think in seeing that? The silver armor slips through the gap between his arms. Under the swordsman's left elbow, between his waist and arm, she must have seen that the slightest gap was the magical sword's blind spot. While her armor gets chipped away by the 3 blades that come flying, Saber curls herself up and rushes toward that one spot. Her prediction, her outstanding intuition allows her to execute that exquisite skill. She was able to foresee the complete form of the magical sword, which was yet to be seen because she had experienced the incomplete swallow reversal once. However, that is not the surprising thing. What truly kept her alive was her determination. She trusted that momentary spark and put all of her abilities into that momentary gap. She shook off the fear that she might get cut up into pieces if she was even slightly delayed, and ran through the gap that was impossible to pass. And thus, her determination was what managed to defeat that magical blade. But the match is not over. Avoiding the swallow reversal puts her enemy right next to her, and her lunge outpaces the swordsman's draw. That position is not easy to recover from. The long katana flies. The recoiling blade is quick, even if it may not be as quick as the demonic blade. And yet, her attack slightly outperforms and is faster than the swordsman's. Go back to that last panel. That was a cool shot. He purses his lips. He closes his lips tightly and strains to keep himself from collapsing. The blood that flows back from his gut fills his mouth, but he swallows it, determined not to spill it out. The golden-haired knight stands below the swordsman. The swordsman's code does not allow him to do something like defile his opponent and her brilliance with the expulsions from his innards. Saber says nothing. Strands of her golden hair flutter on the stone stairs. It's a wonder her head is still attached. It's a miracle that her limbs were not sheared off. She felt her body would be cut in four the instant she went into that opening. There was only one factor that made a difference. The swordsman's long katana. Had his blade not bent, his magical sword would have surely been invincible. The arrows were... This is what you get when you try to make a sword out of a laundry pull instead of getting it from a real swordsmith. Another battle is still going on behind the temple gate. Saber does not know what to say as she looks up at the dying swordsman. To that,
Yuke.
The swordsman says without looking at her. How much meaning is contained in that single word? Saber draws her sword and runs up the stairs with all her might. She doesn't turn back to the swordsman. She simply runs up to fulfill her role.
美しい小鳥だと思ったのだがな。その実、獅子の類であった。
He mutters, and the swordsman laughs, realizing it was inevitable. She avoided something that even a swallow could not avoid. And thus she was not an object to be admired and loved.
女を見る目には自信があったのだが、どちらも修行不足ということか。
The swordsman complains with a shrug. His form and his elegant haughty were starting to fade. His pierced stomach and his blood-stained feet can become faint. Yet he looked at the situation unconcerned and sat down on the stone pavement. The trees rustle. The wind coming down from the top of the mountain shake the forest. By the time the flowers scatter, the birds disappear, the wind stops, and even the moon in the sky fades. The swordsman who was just there disappears without a trace, as if his existence was just an illusion. In that instant, I deploy the strongest weapon out of all the items I've replicated. But it won't work. But it won't even work as a shield against what is presented before me. The Sword of Rupture. The mysterious sword cuts through the wind, annihilates 6 Noble Phantasms, and severs my body. It's disappearing. My circuit gets disconnected, and the magical energy from Kosaka has nowhere to go but that. Dang. I curse at my inadequacy. I knew I was inexperienced, but I seriously curse at myself for never really thinking of the implications or how that would affect me. Why do I have so few magic circuits? If only I had a little more. If only I had a little more and reached beyond that darkness of it. I could have fought him. I fall to the ground. I can't soften the impact, and I fly dozens of meters away, falling violently onto my back. There's no pain from the impact. I've lost all sensation. Even my mind goes white and blank. Right before I head toward death, my last thought is how amazed I am that my limbs are still attached.
そこまでか。やはり偽物は偽物だったな。お前では何も救えない。
My heartbeat gets weaker. My lungs are not moving, and my trachea is frozen.
これならば、アーチャーが残った方が楽しめた。奴も贋作者だったが、その理念は俗物ではなかったからな。
The fact that I can't see isn't because my eyes are damaged. Right now, everything inside me is messed up, and my body has ceased to function properly. Maybe I would consider that to be fortunate. I've forgotten all sensation of pain, so I should be able to die easily at this rate.
ああ、そういえば奴も言っていたな。 お前の理念は借り物だと。自身から生み出したものが一つとしてない男が何かをなそうなどと、よくも思い上がれたものだ。
I can't let that happen. Even if the pain causes me to be brain dead if I come to my senses, I tell myself I need to regain consciousness and stand up. My deeply rooted psyche is pointing to a certain place and telling me something.
正義の味方？誰も傷つかない世界だと？おかしなことを。誰も傷つかず幸福を保つ世界などない。人間とは犠牲がなくては生を謳歌できぬ獣の名だ。平等という綺麗事は闇を直視できぬ弱者のざれ言に過ぎぬ。雑種、お前の理想とやらは醜さを覆い隠すだけの言い訳に過ぎん。
I raise my arm, even though it shouldn't be able to move. My body is on the ground and my consciousness is on the brink of death. I raise my arm to grab onto something, like I did on that fateful day. I don't know what's funny, but someone's laughing. The high-pitched laughter that assaults my ears sounded like everyone in the entire world was laughing. A fake wish, a borrowed ideal. That dream won't come true, someone sneers. Yeah, they're right. These thoughts of mine are borrowed. I just admired the wish to help someone because it was beautiful. There's nothing that came from me. I was always driven by this curse-like obsession that my body needed to be for someone else. That's why it's fake. Such hypocrisy will save nothing in the end. First of all, I don't even know what needs to be saved. But I also still feel that's beautiful. That concept did not come from me. I just saw someone save someone else and mimicked it. On that day, I was empty inside. Everyone died indiscriminately, and I couldn't save anyone. I couldn't suppress my terror at that sight that was unraveling before me, and I had no choice but to resign myself to the fact that humans were weak. That's why I admired that ideal. I cried at the preciousness of it because I didn't have it myself. Is that wrong? Is it fake because it's not my own feelings? Is it wrong for that wish to come true if it's fake? No, I don't think it's wrong. I don't care if it's fake. Even unattainable ideals just need to be fulfilled. It was a dream that couldn't be granted from the start, an unreachable utopia. Then, even if Shirou is a fake, the thing that is there is undeniably real. That's right. I already knew that. I know I can't save everything. I know that there's no salvation without sacrifice. Now that I'm an adult, I understand that it's reality. Despite knowing that such a thing was only an ideal, I continue to seek for it. It doesn't end when someone gets hurt. Even if the best outcome is for someone to get hurt in order to save many, I'm still going to seek a version of happiness where nobody gets hurt. There's no justice in the world. There's no justice in this world. The reality is that people keep dying for nothing. But I don't think resigning to that idea is right. And in the end, he reached this place. What he believes, what he believed. He said they were all hypocrisy. But the one who said that followed through on his hypocrisy till the end. Knowing that, I can keep going. Even if I borrowed his ideals, even if I'm going to stay a fake, I don't care. I don't have such complicated feelings that I have to worry about too much in the first place. I thought to myself on the Hill of Swords, if I could save just the world that I can see, I'll fight for it. I didn't even have to think about it. My world is small. This small world is all I have ever been able to create. That's right. This body of mine is made of solid swords. Yeah, that's why I'll be able to endure most things. I can stick to my dreams until the very end. Even if the wear and tear over the years. And even if at the end, none of what I sought was there. Oh, so that's it. I get up. The moment I regain consciousness, my limbs move. My body still moves after I get up with great force. It's a wonder I'm not only alive, but able to stand up after that sword's blow. But it doesn't matter. I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. If I'm alive, there must be a reason why. It's something that I just have no control over.
直前に盾を敷いたのか。出し惜しんだとはいえ致命傷だったはずだが、存外にしぶといな小僧。
You were reluctant? Why would I hold back? Why would you hold back when you have mounds of weapons at bay? I steadied my breath while keeping my distance. I know how to do it now. I'm sure I could do it with Tosaka's backup. The problem would be my casting time. I may have memorized it, but I don't know how fast I can get it to work for me unless I try.
今のは覇者にのみ許された剣だ。強が乗ったゆえ見せてやったが、本来雑種などに使うものではない。エアと打ち合う権利を持つ者はセイバーだけだ。お前のような偽物に使ってはセイバーに合わせる顔がない。
Numerous noble phantasms appear, but all of them are third-rate weapons. After seeing the sword I just saw, the difference is obvious. But those weapons are still not to be taken lightly. Normally, they would be more than enough to kill me. The difference in our strength has not changed. Even though I miraculously survived that last attack, I'm no match against that servant with just my projection.
ほう、真似事はおしまいか。ようやく無駄と分かったらしい。ならば潔く消えるがいい。偽物を作るその頭蓋、一片たりとも残しはせん。
The floating noble phantasms are floored. But then,
Shirou!
a gust of blue wind intervenes between us.
セイバーか。
Gilgamesh instantly jumps back. Even Gilgamesh is cautious against Saber. Seeing as his swordsmanship is inferior, he probably wants to avoid hand-to-hand combat with Saber.
よかった。無事ですか、シロ。
I mean, I don't think she'd do too well in hand-to-hand combat either, but melee combat, yeah, she definitely has the upper hand.
遅くなりました。あとは私が受け持ちます。シロは離れて。
No, I'm going to take care of Gilgamesh alone. You're the one who's going to step back, Saber.
何を言うのです、シロ。その体で彼の相手をすると。いえ、そもそも魔術師ではサーバントには太刀打ちできない。それはあなたもよく知っているでしょう。
Debatable. Yeah, but he and I are an exception. Believe me. I'm sure I can beat him. Saber gasps. Saber is surprised because she believes what I'm saying. I want you to quickly get to the back of the compound. Tosaka's trying to stop the Grail on her own, but you're the only one who can destroy that thing. A few seconds, no, not even a second passed. After she tightly closed her eyes once.
ご武運を。ビンは私が必ず。
She says exactly what I want to hear and steps away from Gilgamesh. Silver armor turns away. Saber! I call out to her just once. I couldn't save you. And I say it. I'm going to try to tell her on behalf of the times I've spent with her and the time she's been thinking, and the times he's been thinking of her. I don't think that Holy Grail is the one you seek. That's why you should take a good look at it, so you won't make a mistake next time.
Shirou.
Sorry, I can't put it into words well. I don't think I was worthy to be your master. That's why I couldn't even find out what she really wanted.
そんなことはない。シローは私のマスターだ。
Saber.
サーバントとして責務を果たしてきます。伝えたいことはその後に。
She runs off without turning back. Her gallant appearance is like a gust of wind. Saber left. Without the slightest doubt, she believed my words when I said I would beat my opponent and left to save Tosaka. Alright, let's go. From here on, there's no room for hesitation. All I need to do is defeat the enemy in front of me. And there's more nightmare fuel for you, folks.
正気か貴様。ただ一つの勝機を逃し、あの小娘を助けさせるだと。たわけめ。自らを犠牲にする行為など全て偽りに過ぎぬ。それを、ああ、それだけは称えてやろう、小僧。
His Noble Phantasms deploy. There's less than 30 of them. If I want to block them, I'll just have to create them. An imitation. A hypocrite, huh? Yeah, that doesn't sound bad. It's true. I am a faker. I raise one of my arms. I close one eye and turn my mind to look within. I had it all wrong. My projection wasn't making swords. I'm not that skilled to begin with. That's right. Tosaka told me this. I can only use one kind of magecraft. Strengthening and projection are just byproducts of what I can actually do. That's right. There's only one thing I can do, and that's to give shape to what's in my heart. I turn. I grab my outstretched right arm with my left hand and glare at Gilgamesh. I am the bone of my sword. I say the spell. Casting is only a method of suggesting to change oneself. These words were naturally there to connect.
そうか。世まいごとはそこまで。
Numerous Noble Phantasms get released. I create. That's why I had one eye open. I drag out a shield from the hill to block the oncoming Noble Phantasms. The swarm of swords strike wildly. The shield is Shirou Emiya, myself. The seven petal shield cracks, and my body chips away with every fracture. Steel is my body, and fire is my blood! There's only one place I need to reach. The power that surges forth immediately fills me to capacity. What is he so surprised about? Is he shocked that his treasure can't even penetrate through my single shield? Or is he surprised by the rush of magical energy? I have created over 1,000 blades, unaware of loss, nor aware of gain. It's going to break. The surging magical energy can't be suppressed. 10 units of magical energy filling a single magic circuit break the foundation to find release. My blood flows backwards. The shield is full of holes. Even if his Noble Phantasms do not reach me, my body is full of holes already. And yet, withstood pain to create weapons, waiting for one's arrival. Magical energy rages out of control, but I don't care. My body is a circuit that solely exists to use a certain magecraft, and that magecraft alone. So there should be something beyond that. Hang on just a moment. right, I'm back. There should be something beyond that if I can't make it with this circuit. No, even now it's there. It's just not visible. There were no circuit limitations from the very beginning. If what was preventing it was not a wall but darkness, then the limit is somewhere beyond the darkness. I have no regrets. This is the only path. Ten units of magical energy filling a single magic circuit break the foundation to find release, and I will use 100 circuits to take in 1,000 units of magical energy. My whole life was Unlimited Blade Works! I say its true name. In that instant, everything shatters and regenerates. Flames rush. The fire becomes a wall that creates a boundary and changes the world. A wasteland follows. A hill with countless swords in disarray reveals itself before me. How does this place look to that guy? The golden servant simply stands there with a seething look on his face and confronts his enemy. That's right. I don't make swords. I create a world that contains infinite swords. This is the only magecraft allowed to me. A desolate world. A graveyard where there are no living creatures, only swords. In this world where swords get replicated just by looking directly at them, every sword in existence is here. This is Shirou Emiya's world, a reality marble, the greatest forbidden magic that materializes the caster's mental world. This is the heroic spirit Emiya's Noble Phantasm, and the only weapon I possess. Everything is here, and nothing is here. That's why it's called Unlimited Blade Works. As someone who lived his whole life as a sword, this is the only definite and tangible answer he was able to obtain.
こういう結界、それが貴様の能力か。
I take a step forward. Surrounding me are the swords that were floating behind him earlier. Don't be surprised. These are all Don't be surprised. These are all imitations. Just as you said, they're all trifling objects. I stretch out my arms. The swords stuck in the ground come out easily, as if accepting me as their wielder. But you know what? There's no rule or reason a fate can't best the real thing. If you're the real thing, then I'll surpass you completely and strike down your very existence. I step forward. In front of me is the servant who possesses thousands of treasures. Let's do this, King of Heroes. Do you have enough weapons in stock?
思い上がったな、雑種!
The enemy opens his gate and deploys numerous Noble Phantasms. I charge through the wasteland. Here, the two different groups of swords begin their final clash. The first thing Saber sees after taking a detour in the temple grounds and reaching the lake is a massive lump of meat. She is not like any other knight. She fought many kinds of monsters when she was called a hero. She has even fought Dragonkin, famed to be the strongest of the phantasmal species. But even Saber can only falter at that lump of meat. It is not because of how unsightly it is. It is because she can tell that the curse released from that shape, that lump of meat, is the same as herself.
サーバント。召喚を間違えれば、サーバントとはあそこまで変わるものなのか。
Or is it the power of the Holy Grail? She stares at the lump of meat, stunned, and shakes her head.
リン、どこにいるのです、リン!
She runs to the lake and yells to the lump of meat on the opposite shore. She is hesitant to enter the black mud inside the lake. It is not because it is unpleasant. Her instincts tell her that she cannot touch it as a servant who is a half-spirit. She hears a voice calling. It is faint, but she hears her master's commands. She looks closely and searches around the lump of meat. She steps forward without
待っ
hesitation.
たダメセイバーは入ってこないで
Saber's body stops. She retreats and stares at the lump of meat while readying her sword.
いいからダメその泥に触れたらあなただってこうなるわよいいからセイバーはそこで宝具の準備をしてこの塊はもうすぐ弾けるわその前に宝具でぶった切っちゃって
Saber cannot nod to her master's tense voice. She can tell that the lump of meat is about to hatch. The squirms turn into throbs, and the quantity of mud spat out continues increasing. The lake turns black, and the black mud is overflowing onto the ground. That thing is growing. The world's restraining power will be activated if that thing is left alone. It is natural for her to destroy it with her sacred sword before that happens. But to do
レイ
that,
外に池にさえ出てしまえばあとは私がよねオッケー任せたけどもし間に合わなかったら間に合う方を取ってセイバーとの契約は切れちゃうけどシローが無事ならなんとかなるでしょバカなことを構いません何に変わろうがこのような呪い蹴散らして
Saber runs into the black mud, heading towards the lump of meat. But her body does not move. Her body stops just when she tries to go near the lake.
レイジョ当然でしょ聖杯を壊せる唯一の人材をむざむざ死なせるわけにはいかないものそれに心配無用だってばこの程度簡単に振り切って逃げ出すからセイバーはそこで大船に乗ったつもりで聖剣の準備をしてなさい
The thoughts that she commands are full of composure as always. But needless to say, it is just a bluff. The lump of meat on the opposite shore. Her master that is there has nowhere to run.
なんてねまあ言うはやすしってやつだけど
She murmurs while being surrounded by strange arms made out of meat. The situation is hopeless. Shinji Macho was saved. She ripped off the blood vessels and nerves which had melted into his whole body and took him out of the lump of meat. One could say he's alive if one turns a blind eye to the after effects he may have. No, although he has fainted, one could say that he is better off than the girl carrying him.
問題はその後かそりゃ心臓取られちゃ暴れるわよねシンジを返せば見逃してくれるかなこれ
She slowly goes outside while staring at the tentacles blocking her way. But there is no exit. The tentacles are already blocking the way out into the lake. Even if she were to escape the tentacles that are trying to wrap around her and swallow her whole, she wouldn't be able to break through the part that has become a wall.
まず力が
She almost falls along with Shinji Mato and holds out with all her might. Going past the cursed sea and crossing the floating island of meat, she even performed neurosurgery to separate Shinji Mato from the lump of meat. At that point, the girl's magical energy had even broken into the reserve tank that she had not used for a long time.
もうあのバカ遠慮なしで人の魔力持ってくんだからおかげでこっちはもうすっからかんじゃない
She bears the dizziness as she complains. Of course she didn't mean it. She was just saying that. Besides, things wouldn't change even if she had magical energy left. The tentacles surrounding the girl have stopped because their prey is docile. Once they figure out that the thing that has invaded their body is poisonous, they'll take immediate action. Rin Tosaka and Shinji Mato are alive because she does not have enough magical energy left for them to prey on.
けどここまでかな。いい加減立ってるのも辛く。
Her vision grows hazy. Although she is able to get a foothold, that does not change how she is still on mud. Heat is encroaching on her nerves by the second. If she falls onto the platform of meat, she herself would become the core of the Holy Grail this time. And fall right into which was Kirei's plan all along. Before
ごめ
that,
んねセイバー。言うこと聞かないだろうから無理やり聞かせる。
there's one command spell left. Okay, you used one to restrain Saber. When did you use the second one? That is enough to make Saber standing by on the opposite shore use her sacred sword.
あとあんたにも謝っとかないと。シンジ助けられなんか。
いいから走れ。そのような泣き言。低み。
Her body that is about to collapse stops. That voice. Are the thoughts coming to her mind instead of her ears? Those of the servant that she had made a contract with? She has no time to be bewildered. She knows his personality well. He told her to run, so he must have done something that she wouldn't be able to escape from if she didn't run. She runs through. The arrows that rain from the sky are like a downpour. She smashes everything that gets in her way, whether it's a net, platform, or tentacles of meat. She has no time to look back. She runs through with all her might while carrying Shinji Mata. She jumps into the lake. The arrows have swept away for her escape route. In just a short time, the black mud is repelled, and only dirty water leads to the shore. She runs across the lake while carrying Shinji Mata. She runs to the shore, soaking wet with latent energy that shocks even her.
Saber! Onegai!
Her magical energy replies to the screaming voice. There's no need to check. The golden sword is raised, and with overwhelming firepower, mows down everything in its sight. The mountain of meat is cut in half and collapses. The black mud evaporates, and the band of light changes the lake itself into a flat wasteland. It is a rapid stream of light that eliminates everything. In the midst of that, the swordsman accepted the end of her battle.
これで終わり。私の戦いはここまでです。
Who is that addressed to? The wielder of the sacred sword goes to her knees and gazes at the light with a flood of emotions. The crumbling Holy Grail. The thing that she sought, the thing that was supposed to save her. She destroyed it with her own hands, and the King of Knights finally realized her mistake. One boy and one hero. That man who had become twisted at the end of his ideal that he had held for a long time was still a boy. His regrets are so heavy that they cannot be carried. His sins are so deep that they cannot be atoned for. But there was something that he did not give up on. At the very end, the Knight in Red had researched and reached an answer that no one can affect. Then she has to move forward as well. In her last moment, wounded, she took her hands off her sword. She will run past that hill with her own will.
「契約は完了した。あなたたちの勝利だ。リ」
The sacred sword fades. There is still magical energy left. She can stay in this world if she pushes herself. If possible, she wanted to watch over what awaits them until the end.
ですが、それは私の役割ではない。シローにはリンがついていますから。
The knight's body continues to fade until it vanishes, engulfed by the light. Like a graceful gust of wind, the knight who sought the Holy Grail sets off for the hill of destiny without leaving a single memory behind. There's the good music. And that's the repeated attack of the long sword with the long sword. Swords offset each other. Fragments are sent flying into the atmosphere. The handle of the curved sword appears behind him. But I'm faster. I pull out the curved sword at his feet and swing it straight at him. Okay, yeah, that's the shot. That's the shot. Gilgamesh retreats. I close the distance at once, pull out the sword, and slash at him. I match my sword to the rapid successions of Noble Phantasms. I'm not thinking. My body and mind will stop if I don't. If I stop. I will keep moving forward now. The instant I see his Noble Phantasm, I reel in the same one that I have at hand and strike him down with all my might. The sounds of clashing swords echo through the area. He cannot handle my attacks and has to destroy my weapons with his. That will be the cause of his defeat. Having over 1,000 Noble Phantasms, he is the greatest heroic spirit without a doubt. But he is no more than an owner. He is not a wielder who only has one Noble Phantasm, but is able to use that to... He is not a wielder who only has one Noble Phantasm, but is able to use that to its fullest potential. If my opponent was another servant, I would not be able to match them, even if I made a world like this. Even if I have infinite swords, I can't beat an enemy who has a single ultimate Noble Phantasm. I'm sure Gilgamesh would be able to, but I don't have enough physical ability to. Therefore, the only servant that I can close in on is this man. If we have the same ability and are both owners, I'll go a step ahead of him since I already have swords prepared. I believe it was Bruce Lee that said something akin to, I fear the man who has practiced the same kick 1,000 times more than a man who has practiced 1,000 kicks once. Gilgamesh raises his arm. The hilt that appears behind him is that demonic sword, the only sword that does not exist in this world. I won't let you! I swing my twin swords. I immediately draw Concho and Baki and cut off his arm as it reaches for his magical sword. The weapons come to a halt. He loses his best sword and is left completely defenseless. My body acts before I can think. With victory assured, my arms and legs drive me into the King of Heroes' space even more sharply to slice his body in two. He jumps back. Gilgamesh retreats, barely dodging my twin sword. Gilgamesh admits his defeat and tries to retreat. I'm not letting you get away! I'll lose if he regains his composure. I have to settle the match at this moment before his heat cools down. Monster! He must have realized that he would not be able to escape as he pulls out a Noble Phantasm from behind him with his remaining arm. But I'm faster. Meanwhile, I'll surely... Huh?
Nani?
Our voices overlap. That change is instant. The flash of light coming from the lake eliminates the Hill of Swords. The massive magical energy wiped away the already disappearing reality marble. That's fine. The match is settled. I can defeat the servant just by swinging these twin swords. But after that, a black hole, a round void big enough to swallow a human whole, appears before me on Gilgamesh's body. Gilgamesh looks down at his own body, appalled. His body is being swallowed. The golden servant is being swallowed up by the hole that is open inside him. Did he want to say, wait? The void mercilessly swallows the servant. There was no way for him to escape. The void was open in his own body, after all. There's no way he can escape from something that is in his body. What was that? I stand there, dumbfounded. The void in front of me gets smaller by the moment. I don't know what this is, but it seems like Tosaka and Saber were able to destroy the Holy Grail. My only guess is that this black void appeared from that effect and he vanished. Phew. Anyways, now, everything is over. The twin swords disappear. The magical energy occupying my body rapidly fades, and at the same time... Oh, shoot! Fatigue assails me. Dang, this is bad. I can't walk. I want to go see Tosaka. I want to go see how Tosaka's doing right away, but my body won't move. Well, I'm sure she's doing fine since Saber went to her. Right, I guess I can rest a bit. And the moment I take a deep breath... What? A chain wraps around my arm. My breath stops. The chain that's mercilessly wrapped around my arm pulls me towards the black hole. I put strength in my limbs, but I can't resist at all. My feet slide toward the void along with the very ground that they are planted on.
あの出来損ないめ。同じサーバントでは核にならんとさえわからぬか。
You! The thing crawling from the void was definitely him, but that body has melted here and there. That void must melt away. That void must melt anything it swallows. You little! I try to pull the chain off me, but it doesn't budge. This chain restraint even berserker. It's not something I can take off no matter how hard I try. I'm getting drawn in. I'll be swallowed like him if I go near that void. Are you trying to take me with you?
乾け！死ぬつもりなど毛頭ないわ。踏みとどまれゲロー。俺がその場に戻るまでな。
You! So arrogant even in a situation like this. Dang! What should I do? I can't get the chain off no matter what I do. I'll fall into the void with him like this. Even if I hold out, he'll pull himself out then. It means I'm going to die either way. I'm not going that easily. I feel dizzy. My body can't hold out any longer. I'm going to die. I can't endure it in the very end. Then if I can't endure it anyway, should I loosen up? If I do so, I should at least be able to push it back into that void. No, don't underestimate me. I won't let you take me with you. I re-energize my weakening limbs. Will my arm tear off first? Will his chain rip it off first? Or will he crawl out first? It doesn't matter. I'll fight until the very end and die a flashy death.
お前の勝手だが、その前に右に置けろ。
Huh? I turn around immediately. I look at the temple grounds in the distance, which has become a wasteland. Something flies by as if brushing past me. Headshot.
貴様。 ちゃ。
The chain comes off. In the end, looking like he saw something unexpected, he lets go of the chain of the heavens. I fall on my butt. The void shrinks to the size of my palm and vanishes as I look on, dumbfounded. That was... Unable to even stand, I look at the wasteland behind me. Dawn is near. The one with the rising sun behind him is the knight wearing a red cloak. What a show-off. I subconsciously complain, but I can't help but smile happily. Well, I have nothing I want to say, so I'll keep quiet so that I can sleep. The golden ground that became a wasteland. Seeing the knight stand there and Tosaka running to him, I lie down on the ground. Tosaka should say everything I want to say to him on my behalf. So I'll sleep for now. I'm sure we'll end up fighting if we see each other again, and I'm not used to saying farewell to myself. And for the final time, I engrave my ideal into my mind so that I won't forget it and slowly close my eyes. The ground that he stands on is similar to the wasteland that I saw before. There's nothing around. There's nothing extra on the summit where everything was blown away. The battle has ended. The battle for the Holy Grail has ended, and the curtain is about to fall on his battle as well. He does not know how long it was, but the accumulated wish that should have bound him forever is gone now. The end quickly permeates into him and melts this Era's version of his body. He looks towards the voice calling him. That girl must not have the spare energy to run, but she still runs to him, breathing unsteadily. He quietly watches her. The girl that ran up to him looks up at the knight, still breathing unsteadily. The red cloak flowing in the wind shows no trace of what it used to be. It is torn from everywhere, and its armor is cracked and broken. His existence is weak. The knight that stands still with haughtiness, just like the time they first met, starts to disappear from his feet. Dawn approaches in the distance. The golden sun rises faintly from the horizon.
残念だったな。そういうわけだ。今回の聖杯は諦めろ、リン。
Does he not have anything special to say? The Red Knight says a trivial thing like that. That gets the girl all the more. With that body that was about to disappear, the knight was the same knight as before. An ally that she trusted and ran through the night with, who had her back while making sarcastic remarks. She could declare that those memories were fun, looking back at them. And they are still in front of her, unchanged. He remained to Saber at the last moment. He lost his master and withstood the Noble Phantasm of the King of Heroes. His body was disappearing, but he didn't ask for her help and watched over their battle. And that end is in front of her. The girl can't think of what she should say. It is always like that for her at the most crucial times. She loses her quick-wittedness when she needs it the most. The knight smiles slightly. He knew that from the start. The girl's clumsiness is a memory more fond than anything to the knight in red.
何よ、こんな時だってのに笑うことないじゃない。
She looks up at the knight.
いや、失礼。君の姿があんまりにもあれなものでね。お互い、よくもここまでボロボロになったと呆れたのだ。
He still has a smile even as he banters. She gets a lump in her throat from seeing his face free of regrets. She wonders if it's okay. The moment she wonders if it's okay for him to disappear like this.
あーちゃん、もう一度私と契約して。
She says those words that she shouldn't say.
それはできない。リンがセイバーと契約を続けるのかは知らないが、私にその権利はないだろう。それに、もう目的がない。 私の戦いはここで終わりだ。
His answer has no doubt, and his will is pure. His face is as bright as the sunrise, and how can she force him when he's making a face like
けどそれじゃあんたはいつまで経っても
He's saved. The girl swallows her words and looks down. That is not something the girl should say, and it wouldn't be granted even if she kept the night in this world.
まあ言ったな。この世に未練はないが。
It's troubling to have this girl cry. For him, the girl always had to be positive, realistic, and indulgent. He was always encouraged by her. That's why he wanted this girl to be her usual self until the very end.
リン。
The girl looks up at the sound of his voice. Her face trying to hold back her tears is adorable. Rather than expressing the slight attachment that he feels, he looks at the collapsed boy in the distance.
私を頼む。知っての通り、頼りないやつだからな。君が支えてやってくれ。
The knight says objectively, "Those are words of farewell. The future might change. If a girl like her stays by Shirou Emiya's side, then the hero named Emiya will not be born." His distant words contain such hope.
じゃあ
But even if that were to happen, even then, the knight in red that already exists will forever be a guardian. He and the boy are different existences. They only have the same starting point, and he was an illusion that the boy dreamt of. There is no salvation available for this knight anymore. There is nothing to give to him, as he has already died and become a phenomenon. The girl nods in spite of that. Because she cannot give him anything, she gives him the biggest smile in the end. He asks her to take care of him, in order to answer the trust that he put in her.
分かってる。私頑張るから。あんたみたいにひねくれたやつにならないよう頑張るから。きっとだからあんたも。
Forgive yourself. She doesn't put it into words. The girl looks up at the disappearing knight with a flood of emotions. How much salvation did that bring? After engraving the girl's smile into his memory with pride?
答えは得た。大丈夫だよ、遠坂。俺もこれから頑張っていくから。
The knight finally arrests his wounded body without waiting for the girl's reply.
なんだ。結局文句言い損ねちゃったじゃない。
She wipes her tears as they well up and says to the man who is no longer there. That voice is invigorating as she regains her usual stout-heartedness. It is only natural. She doesn't have the time to be down after he made a face like that. She says farewell to the wasteland where the knight stood, and the girl runs down to the collapsed boy in the golden sunlight. His smile as he disappeared was just like the boy's from the past. Epilogue. Sometimes I recall that sword fight. The sparks of the clashing swords, the hustling, intense spirit. The many attacks were inexperienced, not something that one could call a sword dance. We were both clumsy and didn't know of retreat. The ridiculous sounds of swords were annoying, and I have no memory of them. At that time, I lost an answer and found an answer at the same time. A plus and minus make zero. Nothing has changed after all. He's him, and I'm me. I'm just dreaming of his fading memories. It's only been a month, but it already feels so nostalgic. It feels like it happened so long ago. memory of it fading day by day, and I can't even remember what the person I was fighting looked like. That also can't be helped. That was something that was impossible from the start. It's not like either of us believed that the fight would change anything. We just tried to attack our own shadow to ascertain ourselves. That's why there was nothing we would gain from winning. Something like that has been stuck from the start and won't go away. It's the end if you lose, and there's no prize if you win. Man, it really didn't pay off. But I could still recall it if I closed my eyes. The echoing sounds of unrefined metals, a distant and blinding sword fight that did not know of retreat. It was our beliefs that clashed with each other. I opposed my own ideal to carry out my hope. The outcome is still undecided. I don't know which one won or which one remained. It should be a while until the answer comes out. An illusion like a mirage that disappears if one turns around. Just using the reverberations as a guide, my feet will eventually reach this place.
Kora, 起きんかったわけ。皆集会に向かったぞ。学校に来ていながらボイコットするつもりか貴様。
My body's being shaken. The voice brings my sleeping mind back to reality. Wait, why are you here? I lift my face up from my desk and stare at my classmate's face.
なぜなどない。ここは教室で。今日は2年最後の日で。時刻は終業式10分前だ。姿が見えぬからもしやと探しに来れば本当に居眠りしていると呆れたぞ。
I don't know if he's panicking or if he's mad, but it's rare for Issei to be yelling. It is only Issei and me in the classroom. It's 9:50. The end of term assembly is from 10 a.m., so everyone must have gone to the gymnasium.
もしきちんと目が覚めているか、エミヤ。
Yeah, I'm completely awake now. Thanks, Issei. I'm glad you came to wake me up.
分かればよろしい。だが礼は後だ。急がねば間に合わん。お前と俺が欠席とあっては、藤村先生がどんな暴れっぷりを示すか見当もつかんからな。
Got it. I can't face my classmates if she gives us ridiculous amounts of homework before vacation. I'll make sure to calm Fujine down.
頼むぞ。これ以上宿題が増えれば、皆に顔向けができないどころか、間違いなく呪われる。
That's a scary way to put it, but it's frightening how it's the truth. Last summer, the amount of extra homework we got after we made Fujine mad was insane. It wasn't even English homework. I don't know what she was thinking when she told us to enter some competition anywhere in the country and win a medal.
エミヤ、急げと言っておろうが。
Sorry, I'm coming. We should hurry to the gymnasium for now. It takes 3 minutes if we run from here to the gymnasium. We should be able to get there 5 minutes before if no teacher finds us.
いや、それはダメだ。廊下を走るのはいかん。
That was naive of me. As expected of the student council president, he's really committed as he is still following the rules even in this situation. That's honorable of you, Issei, but we won't make it if we walk.
走らぬ程度に急ごう。何 ?1 分前だろうが何だろうが、間に合いさえすれば言い訳は立つ。
I nod and walk faster. It's mid-March, but the sky that I see out the window is amazingly blue. Fuyuki City has long winters, but it seems like spring is finally around the corner. The days went by quickly. It's been a month since the Holy Grail War, and the town is back to the normal Fuyuki City. The Holy Grail was destroyed, and most of the damage caused by the Masters was taken care of by the church. The person that came to substitute for Kirei Kotomini was old but energetic, and everything was settled efficiently. But the traces of the war are still left here and there. Soichiro Kuzuki, who chose to fight as a master, is considered missing. Issei was sad that Kuzuki, whom he respected as an older brother, was gone, but...
元からひょろりと寺に現れたゆえ、 去る時もこんなものだろう。
He just laughed it off. But what surprised me was Fujine, since it turns out that they only often drink tea. But what surprised me was that Fujine, since it turns out that they often drink tea together. She confessed that she wanted to have a match with him at least once, so it seemed like she saw through the fact that Kuzuki was a master of martial arts. Shinji's life was saved by Tosaka, and he's currently in the hospital. Apparently, the hospital is part of the Mages Association, and his body is recovering. Sakura's busy visiting Shinji, so she's been showing up only on the weekends this past month. I went to go snoop in on them once, but they were getting along so well that I thought I was seeing things. I don't know if whatever was possessing him went away from that incident, or if he's just energetic from the wounds. Either way, the Shinji I saw being taken care of by Sakura was sarcastic but sincere, and he's acting more like the Shinji that I first met. Saber's not here anymore. After she destroyed the Holy Grail, she left this world as a servant. The moment she destroyed the Holy Grail with her own hands, she must have been released from whatever was binding her. It's frustrating that I didn't get to say goodbye, but I should be glad that she's released from her fixation on the Holy Grail. If I'm able to see her again, I want to thank her as much as I can. And finally, the most important person.
遠坂
We get down to the first floor and on our way to the corridor towards the gymnasium.
あら生徒会長、こんな時に校舎の見回り？それとも各部室の手入れかしら？毎度のことで言い飽きたけど、そういうところ本当にマメなのね。
We run into the one representing the students at the assembly instead of the student council president as she comes out of the teacher's office.
こちらもその言い回しには飽き飽きだ。たまには違う憶測を立ててみろ。それとも貴様、よもやわざと繰り返しているのではあるまいな。
Issei glares at Tosaka.
え？そんなの当たり前じゃない。何？今まで気づいてなかったの？龍斗くん？そうなんだ。もう少しユーモアのある人だと思ったけど、本当に堅物だったのね。ごめんなさい。今まで親愛の情を込めて同じ挨拶をしていたけど、あなたには分かりづらかったんですね。
何が親愛だ。お前に向けられる親愛など覚えがない。行くぞエミヤ。ネギツネに構っていては式に遅れる。
Issei sure doesn't get along with Tosaka. Well, I feel the same way, so I'm in no position to feel any sympathy. And our eyes meet as I pass by Tosaka. We decided that we would act normally when there are others around. I naturally ignored Tosaka and follow Issei. However...
おはよう、エミヤくん。今朝も元気そうで嬉しいわ。
I don't know what she didn't like, but she embraces my arm and puts on a big smile. My mind goes blank. We've been seeing each other every day, but this is the first time we've touched each other like this in a month. Tosaka! I desperately tried not to blush and resist Tosaka's touch.
冗談よ。けど嬉しいのは本当よ、エミヤくん。そうだ、式が終わって生徒会の手伝いが済んだら一緒に帰りましょう。私、あなたが来るまでずっと教室で待ってるから。
Tosaka puts emphasis on keep on waiting.
何を口にするか貴様。とっととその腕を離さんか。
何って、竜斗くんには関係ないでしょ。それじゃあ失礼。生徒会長に代わって挨拶をしなくちゃいけないから、私も忙しいの。
Tosaka leaves with the noisy footsteps of a victor.
どういうことだエミヤ。貴様、あのメギツネとどういう関係だ。
Well, it's hard to explain. First of all, I think I told you before that we became acquaintances.
そんなものは1ヶ月も前の話だろう。悪いことは言わんから
手を切れと忠告したはずだ。そうか、弱みだな。あいつに弱みを握られたのか、エミヤ。
Oh, you don't know the half of it. Oh, well, I guess you can call it a weakness.
やはりそうか。くそ、己遠坂、もはや捨ておけん。さあ相談しろエミヤ。今すぐ白状しろエミヤ。二人で手を合わせて今日こそあのメギツネに仏罰を下してやるのだ。
Issei shakes my shoulders. Look at the time, Issei. The assembly starting.
みじんも構わん。どうせ初めは気圧のざれ言。少々遅れた方が精神衛生上よかろう。
The student council president is still shaking my shoulders. Issei is usually calm, but he's a different person when it involves Tosaka. Tosaka must be his natural enemy, but... Sorry, Issei. I feel bad letting you down, but I can't do anything about Tosaka. She'll beat me instead if I go beat her. Do yourself a favor and don't go near her.
エミヤにしては後ろ向きな発言。まさかそれほどの弱みを握られているというのか。
Unfortunately. So I'm leaving it to you to deal with Tosaka. I'm sure it'll be a tough fight, but please do your best on my behalf.
そうか、わかった。安心しろエミヤ。より良い学園生活のためだ。何としても遠坂の化けの皮を剥いで失脚させる。メギツネめ、運動系の部活動を束ねて何やら企んでいるようだが、あと1年もすれば生徒会も盤石だ。本当の勝負はそれからよ。
The student council president laughs fearlessly. Oh, but Issei, we'll all be graduating in a year. The end of term assembly ends, and the school starts to calmly lose its liveliness. Spring break has started. Most of the students have left with a smile, and the athletic clubs are already starting their training camps today. There aren't that many students left in the building. All the classrooms are empty, and all that's left in the hallway is the redness from the sunset.
やっと終わったわね。一世のやつ、最後までシロウに手伝わせるんだもの。あれ、絶対嫌がらせよ。
An empty classroom. Tosaka smiles and says so as soon as she sees me in the 2A classroom tinted by the sunset. You idiot. It's because you did that ridiculous thing. I would have been released earlier had you not said anything unnecessary. I enter the classroom complaining. I wonder why I feel so restless in the other class. I wonder why I feel so restless in other classrooms even though they all look the same.
何よ、私のせいだっていうの？シロウは。
Half of it is definitely you. Look, you're the one who said we should act like strangers until we're third years, since it'll be weird if we suddenly get close. So why did you do such a thing?
今日で2年も終わるんだから、ちょっとぐらいフライングしてもいいじゃない。だいたいね、無視するにしたって他に方法があるでしょ？昼休みにすれ違うのならいざ知らず、私たちしかいなかったんだから、目配せの一つぐらいするのが筋ってものよ。
I don't know what she's upset about, but Tosaka complains while looking the other way. Is it because of the classroom during the sunset? That gesture that I'm used to seeing looks so fresh and cute that it makes me admire her. Jeez. Here, I got this, but do you want it? I offer her the orange juice pack that is distributed to students who help clean up.
もらうもらう。やった。シロってこういうところは気が利くのよね。
She accepts the juice pack and takes a sip out of the straw. She's sitting by the window. Tosaka is looking down at the campus, as if looking at something bright. I follow her example and look down at the campus while sipping. It must be the track team running. Our athletics department is really lively, even though it's spring break starting tomorrow.
ねえ、エミヤくん。昔陸上部にいなかった？
Then, Tosaka suddenly asks me something strange. The track team? I was always in the archery club.
そっか。まあ、そういうこともあるわよね。 夕焼け見てたら思い出しちゃった。
Telling me to forget about it, Tosaka sips on her orange juice. I'll forget it if she tells me to. When she calls me Emiya instead of Shirou, half the time she's making a sarcastic remark, and the other half is when she's saying something important. I'm sure this one was the latter. After a month of her grueling magecraft course, I started to finally notice Tosaka's habits.
にしてもあっという間だったな。聖杯戦争が終わって、シローが私に弟子入りしてもう1ヶ月か。なんかこの分じゃ1年なんてすぐに過ぎ去るわね。
It's been a month since I started learning magecraft from Tosaka in hopes of becoming stronger. I've been putting in hard work and tossed around by Tosaka's malicious nature, so it was a whirlwind, but it went by quickly. This past month didn't seem long, but felt fast. So then, a year might go by as quick as spring break. A year, huh? Probably leaving the school by that time.
そうね。この教室は今日限りの教室で、4月になったら新しい教室になる。それと同じで、1年後には違う場所に行くことになるんでしょうね。
Tosaka holds her knees and blanksly look out the window, still looking down at the campus. Another place, huh? I wonder what I'll be doing when I graduate a year from now. No, I don't even have to think about it. What I must do doesn't change. I just need to make my ideal come true, just like he believed. Well, and I have one other goal that's just as big right now, but I don't want to think about it too much since it's irritating.
ねえ、エミヤ君は卒業したらどうするの？やっぱりお父さんの後を継ぐの？
Huh? Well, yeah, but more than succeeding my father, I want to become a proper mage already. Or else I won't look cool, right?
へえ、かっこつかないって誰に？
This is it. In other words, the other goal is to make her admit defeat. It doesn't matter. Anyway, my biggest priority is to become a proper mage, so that's why I became your apprentice. Please look after me for one more year.
あら、ずいぶんと強気ね。あと1年で一人前になろうだなんて。私、10年ぐらいは覚悟して師匠役を引き受けたんだけど。そっか、エミヤ君はあと1年でいいんだ。
10 years sounds like a hefty commitment. 10 years? I appreciate it, but... Oh no, that's not what I meant. That's a really long way ahead. Wouldn't you get tired too?
別に、エミヤ君の目標が一人前になることと同じで、私のしたいこともあなたを早く一人前にすることだもの。頭の中じゃちゃんと計画立ってるわよ。なんなら紙にして渡そっか。
Oh, that's... I couldn't ask for more, but...
けど、それも無理かな。エミヤ君、お父さんの後を継ぐんでしょ？なら卒業した後もずっとこの町にいるってことよね。
Yeah, well about that... Well, what about you? Your family supervises Fuyuki, right? Doesn't that mean you can't leave this town either?
私は卒業したらロンドンに行くけど、今回の件で魔術協会から推薦も取ったし、試験なしで入学させてくれるらしいわ。
What? You mean that London? The headquarters of the Mages Association?
ええ。冬季の町じゃ限界があるし、5年ぐらいは時計塔で勉強しようかなって。父さんもそうだったって言うし、魔術師として一人前になりたいなら最高学府に行くのは当然じゃない？
I'm surprised. It's so sudden that my eyes get wide and my head becomes empty. For Tosaka, who's a legitimate mage, that much is natural. I finally realized the difference in our positions that I hadn't thought about until now. London, huh? That's really impressive, right?
それは微妙じゃないかしら。悔しいけど私本人の力を認められての招待じゃないわ。父さんの功績もあるし、今回の件だって単に最後まで残ったからだし。
She says it casually, but it must be impressive after all. But London, huh? That's indeed a bit too far. And just like my old man who wasn't a part of the Mages Association, I'm also not good with formal stuff like that.
でも、それを言うならエミヤ君にだって資格はあるわ。 私が推薦すれば入学試験ぐらいは受けさせてもらえると思うけど。
But I might be able to move there at least. I can start working more, study English, save enough for the flight to Britain and about a month's worth of living expenses, and find a job over there.
エミヤ君にとって教会は敵地だから乗り気はしないだろうけど、時計塔ならちゃんとした道具も揃ってるし、修行には持ってこいよ。ああ、でも固有結界は秘密にしないとダメだから、あくまで基礎力の試験になるのか。ああ、1年で足りるかな、時間。
No, even if I hypothetically rented an apartment there. I don't know what kind of place the clock tower is, but I'm sure Tosaka will get even busier. In that case, I should study on my own and go see her once I become a proper mage. Yeah, that's right. First of all, London isn't even suited for me. I bet I'll faint if I go there and it's filled with people like Kotamine.
ちょっと、人の話聞いてる？エミヤ君。
Huh? Did you say something, Tosaka? Tosaka goes quiet with a clouded expression. Then, as she takes a deep breath with a serious expression.
言い忘れてたんだけど、私は遠坂の後継者として招かれてるの。つまり、一人前の魔術師としてちゃんとした一人部屋をもらえるってこと。
She says something that doesn't make sense.
だから、一人前の魔術師として認められているの。そうなると、弟子の一人や二人はいて当然でしょ？ほら、向こうじゃ派閥争いもあるって言うし、一人ぐらいは弟子を連れて行ってもいいんだって。
Tosaka glances at my face. That means even if I'm thick-headed, I can at least tell what Tosaka's trying to say. In other words,
そうよ。世話係としてなら、身内一人ぐらいは無条件で連れて行けるみたい。それなら試験を受けることもないし、学費も何もかも免除になるわ。まあ、扱いは教会の学徒だけど、教会には属さないっていうそんな役回りになっちゃうんだけど。
color returns to my mind that went white. No, I force color back into it and mobilize it. What Tosaka is saying, I rack my brain and absorb myself into weighing my options that I have a year from now. I must look funny being flustered as Tosaka is giggling. What? I'm not being manipulated by your words.
言いたいことはそれだけ。私はロンドンに行くけど。
She looks softly at me. Tosaka looks at me with a mischievous expression.
ねえ、シローはどうするの？
She gently asks me, as if seeing through my heart. My face turns red in an instant. Her words and behavior alone blow away my trivial humility and dislike towards the association. This is what I mean by Tosaka knowing my weakness. Falling for her is a weakness that I haven't been able to deal with for a long time.
あら、突然だんまり？私、答えを聞いてないんだけどな。
She keeps smiling mischievously. She knows what my answer is, yet she pursues and attacks mercilessly. London is honestly too far, but I can't imagine learning magecraft from anyone other than Tosaka. And more than that, I wasn't even thinking of parting with Tosaka. Most of all, I want to be with Tosaka.
もう、大事なことなんだからはっきり聞かせなさい。世話係になっちゃうけど、私と一緒に行ってくれる？
Shut up, idiot! Idiot! If it's so important, tell me about it in a more appropriate place. I can't answer you when it's so sudden. I don't know what will happen to me if I stay like this, so I look away from Tosaka. I still feel her presence through my back. Tosaka happily watches me sweat.
ね、シロ、答えは？
A gentle voice like a whisper. I give up. Was it this hard to just reply and nod honestly? but I can't look back at Tosaka unless I say it clearly. Idiot. Don't ask me such an obvious question. I look at Tosaka just with my eyes and tell her my true feelings to the best of my ability. Tosaka's smile widens just from those words.
じゃあこれからもよろしくね、エミヤ君。あなたが一人前になるまで遠慮なく鍛えてあげるから覚悟なさい。
Same here. By the way, I'm taking that seriously. I'm going to become a proper mate, so you'll have to look after me.
もちろん。シロを真人間にして思いっきりハッピーにするのが私の野望なんだから。ロンドンに連れてくぐらいで値を上げられちゃたまらないわ。
I don't know where her previous cuteness went. Tosaka says with her confident smile and jumps off the desk. The sun should set soon. Spring break will end. It'll become April, and another year should pass by quickly. We will part with this scenery until then. After a year, I'll be spending my last moments of student life with Tosaka like this.
帰りましょう。今夜はエミヤくん家で賑やかに晩ご飯にするんだから。
We leave the classroom without any regrets. I hear the liveliness of the athletic clubs from the schoolyard. Their shouts are distant and remind me of a sword fight from some time ago. I can't stay in the same place forever. Tosaka and I will be going to a different place a year from now. It should be a while until I find out whether this is the right choice or not. I recall that red figure just once. Neither this classroom nor that sword fight will change. Everything is the same. An illusion like a mirage that disappears if one turns around. But I can get there if I aim high. I'll definitely catch up to his back with Tosaka's help. So I'll come up with an answer at that time. The sound of swords echoing in the distance. Using that as a guide, I will eventually reach that place. Walking with the wind blowing on your face, walking towards the future. Busy days with no compass to guide you. After traveling to distant exotic countries, will you return to where you belong? You will return to where you belong one sunny day. And that is the Unlimited Blade Works route. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm not sure when, not sure if and when I'm going to pick up the Heaven's Field routes. I hope you all enjoyed this, and have I don't know if this is gonna get copyright or not. So I hope you guys have a good night. See you later. Bye.